who knows, whatever. It's like these guys, wow, and so as a result, these guys, they love coming to this world, because they're treated with respect. They're still looked down on, because they're considered orphans, but the women don't mind, and and then there's this whole interesting thing that these women who are working one of their waitresses, this guy realizes, oh well, I need young girls, because that basically was going to bring customers in, and these young girls, they don't like these ugly guys. But these guys from Earth come in, and they're like, "Oh, hey," but they basically expect payment too, and that's why they go to this other world, and they basically it's like we're men, it's like we're respected here, and they love it, and that's why they keep going back. And yeah, the first season, so it followed these kids around. So the first couple of weeks, they practice with weapons, and that's what I have to do. I say, like, all right, you're cast for the thing. You don't touch any weapons until we start filming. And now, and then I bring on an expert, a fighting expert, and I'm gonna need an old guy for it, but make him up as old, or just make him look old, and like he just kicks around, And this guy just teaches these guys how to fight, and you record that on the film, so he's teaching them, and it could be whatever, but I think ideally, in the sense of it all, yeah, that's the kind of guy I would want. And I would keep him around as a sort of fighting expert, but he would more teach the other people, because after that, these kids are only going to get limited teaching. And as a result, that's why they go on these military campaigns, because there's a lot of guys who know how to fight, and they ask them to teach them how to spar. And a lot of guys, they do, because they say, oh, well, you guys want, you're a bunch of orphans, you want to make a decent living here. And fighting with a sword, but at that point, it was considered honorable living, because you basically put yourself in this, a skill that was, being a living weapon, and that's respected in this time. So just this real interesting, I think that would be just a Lord of the Flies kind of experience for a lot of people, and that's what that's why people like Lord of the Flies. They're like, what happens when authority is removed or switched? What if what happens when order is different? And I think that's what would really be a draw for people to, if this is made into a movie or a TV series. Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking, like, hey, do like a movie and make it kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I definitely need Josh Whedon. Like, that's the thing. If this was, I'd approach Josh Whedon and say, you know what, this is what I want, and I think only you would take it serious. But just realize you really got to crank up the serious issue. It's and that's the other aspect, is that yes, main characters could die. And that's the other interesting aspect about the series, is that these guys are going to fight, and they're going to fight based on their skill level. Then you can start bringing freshmen in, and you can start training them, and having them train, and that's the other aspect, is that once what these guys realize early on is that we have to practice constantly with these weapons, and so that's what they do, and they eventually even get like a little dojo to go to and practice, and just every day. They start out in the morning, they go for a jog, or they lift weights. And then in the evenings, they practice for an hour or two, those weapons. And they're totally dedicated to it. And they realize, because we have to. It's like, if we don't do this, we'll next time we go to that planet, we'll die. And so I think that's just, that's the thing you want. And so you basically film their practice sessions, and have that as backdrops for transitions and stuff like that. What else? So the other idea is that once they get into combat, they are literally fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their careers too, because if they take an injury, all right, they're injured, and that's, I think it would be so awesome and kind of neat to film it this way. You basically, because in the story I'm writing, the first year that they're in, it's nothing. They're just kind of bouncing around, from town to town, and then they get into a fight, and the fight's at the end of. So the fight would be kind of like the first cliffhanger, part. So it's fairly early in the season, and so they get into the fight, but they decide, all right, well, we're outnumbered, but they're splitting up. Let's use that, and so this is the way they fight. And I'm thinking, yeah, do that. Create a mock-up of a town using logs, and I think it'd be pretty easy to film because you basically make a corner. That's all you'd have to build is a corner, and a corner above with some distance because there's gonna be a shot where they're like looking out, and you just always kind of shift the angles, But it also need being like middle fields and open area, so whatever can be worked. But they see the enemy come out, And that's the other thing is that the way I write stuff is that it's very primitive. So logs and earthworks. This common thing. It's towards the end of the season, or the last bit of the season, that they attack a city, a walled city, but I left it a little ambiguous. So I think who knows what could happen, but it's big enough, that it's got a wall. And a pretty serious wall that they have to climb over. So it could be a wood wall or brick, And in fact, that's another thing. I use a lot of brick for. That's what I'm saying. It could be made into a movie. I'm kind of thinking of it as make it into a movie, but it's also based on the level of sophistication of the people. Because production value is always the number one killer of any show, especially a fantasy, sci-fi, whatever show. Guys, like how much money was spent making Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. So anyways, as the stories go, these guys just, they have to learn how to fight. And for the actors, that's the other interesting aspect is that these kids are going to realize I do have to practice with these weapons. But the thing is, I think I'll do it that they're still going to go to school, and we'll just film them on the weekends, kind of thing, in school, kind of thing. But yeah, that's the idea. In fact, we might even just we'll just use the school as the school we're filming in. We might change the name, but otherwise, we'll just talk to all the kids in the school, say, we're going to come in with cameras every once in a while. Just carry on, just carry on like normal. And that's going to be the other thing is that these guys are going to have projects at school, and. I think it would just be real interesting, and just even have some of the kids who are troublemakers and watch them going through the system. Well, you're a troublemaker. We need to take care of you. And the other aspect is there's going to be a bit of magic, but that's because they have to use magic. Essentially, there has to be a reason why are these guys going to another planet able to get away with it. And so you have to throw in a little magic. But I just think that it would just be so neat to film a group of kids. Who are each one of them is a nerd in some way. Each of them is an outcast. They're not really accepted, but that's the story. The idea though that we'll get kids that they have an acting bug and they have a fighting bug. So we're against some martial artists in there, and just film them for 4 years. But we're also. It'll also be the idea that, okay, well, this is just an initial thing. It'll just be 4 years. But we'll get some actors in there, and we'll basically, prep them with this idea that, all right, well, these guys are sophomores now. You're freshmen. What you're going to do is you're going to keep in this program, basically. And we'll keep giving you the paycheck, and it's up to you, to stay in or not. Just realize if you don't, it's not a thing. We're going to have just a massive group of people, and we're going to film actual battles. We're going to film actual fights. It's like guys are going to run up on you. You're going to run up on guys. You're going to fight it out. You have to. This is life or death, and literally, it's life or death. Your video careers, your camera careers. The bad guys less so because I'm going to have the bad guys covered up in the last bit. I just think it'd just be gnarly. Oh my god, it'd just be gnarly to imagine you have a mock-up of a town and you just have a bunch of cameras, up on the ramparts and up on the roofs of the buildings, and you're just filming guys, fighting. And so I think it'd just be amazing to film a whole battle like that. No first-person point of view. you just got the only actor who knows what he's saying, is the one guy, and so he's just kind of directing everybody. And yeah,